Shihan Matt Charles here again. Today's special guest, of course, is Michael Faraone. Now, Michael's got quite an interesting job, to say the least, as well as his martial arts experience. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. So, what I wanted to talk to you today about was, firstly, your golf career.
Yep.
And how that correlates to the martial arts training that you've done. We'll get more into sort of the impact that it's had on your family and all those types of things, but more so the interest that I wanted to talk about today was the correlation between martial arts as a sport, but also as a discipline, considering the type of discipline job that you have. So can you just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
All right, so I'm the club professional at a golf club, so the head pro at the Mornington Golf Club. My role there involves running golf for the club, running my own business, my own pro shop, and within that business I have the coaching rights.
Yep.
So I do a lot of coaching of golfers. When I decided to become a golf pro, my main goal was to become a golf coach. I had lessons myself and saw how, was very interested in what was going on the coaching side of things. So, I chased that dream of becoming a golf coach, and then that went one step further to becoming a club professional or head professional at a golf club. My role's got a few things going on, but coaching is one of the main ones.
How do you come about becoming a golf pro? Like me myself, I don't know a lot about golf or the process of such. How do you become a golf pro?
Okay, so there's obviously you've got to be quite a good golfer. There's levels of golf. I
suppose that's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah. Levels of golf are measured through your what they call your handicap.
Yeah.
0 or scratch being the lowest, and then it works up to about 45.
Yeah.
So as a young fellow, I started on a maximum handicap, got down to scratch within 4 years. Never intended on becoming a golf pro. I always thought I'd be a career amateur. I was always a fairly good player, but I didn't think a professional golf was going to be my career. Until I'd worked for nearly 10 years and was having the golf lessons and decided, that's what I want to do. So there's a couple of ways. The way I went through it, you do an apprenticeship through the PGA called a traineeship.
Yep.
That runs for 3 years. Throughout the traineeship, you've got to prove your level of golfing ability over the 3 years. There's also, you do a diploma in business and courses in coaching. You've got to be placed at a golf club. I was fortunate enough to be at Royal Melbourne Golf Club, which is the number one course in the country, and that was a brilliant place to work, and I managed to work there for 8 years as well and loved every bit of it. But that was the path I took through the PGA traineeship basically it's an apprenticeship to become a golfer. Right. There's other ways called tour school where you go to playing, you play a tournament at a certain stage of the year. The top, say, 20 out of 150 get what they call tour cards. That gives you your professional ticket and you can go and play golf in tournaments, etc. Mine's going through the way I went. You've got your professional status for life, and unless you choose to take that back. Whereas the other way, it depends. Going through tour school and playing, it really depends on your level of play, and you've got to maintain that level and keep making the top 50, the top 20 year in, year out to then keep your professional ticket. And if you don't, you lose it.
Yeah, right.
So I get it for life going through the traineeship.
Yeah, right.
So,
okay. No worries. So you've got certainly quite a list of. I've got a list here of some of your stats. So I'll start reading them out now. We can talk about that. So 1998 was when you turned pro.
Yep.
You started with the PGA traineeship. You were awarded Victorian Training Professional of the Year in 2001.
Yes. So
how long ago was that now? That was 19 years ago.
Yeah, it goes fast. Yeah, so as a trainee, like anything I tried to be the best.
Yeah.
And so throughout my traineeship, I had a very good playing average. I was top 5 in the country playing wise as a trainee. And the academic side, I was always good on the academic side of things through school. So I made an effort with that. I was awarded trainee captain of my final year. So, all that combined, they awarded me Vic Trainee of the Year.
Wow.
So I nearly won Australian Trainer of the Year. I think I came down to the last two.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like some other Australian...
That's happened a couple of times from what I understand, and a few different things, but we'll get to that. 2007, your dream job, of course, a club professional at Mornington. As far as the Mornington course rates in the grand scheme of things in Victoria, like I don't know a lot about golf, but I certainly know that Mornington Golf Course is a very prestigious course. I've played there once.
Yes, you have.
As I didn't play there, but I was a caddy for a fundraiser, which we'll talk about later. And that was the first time I'd actually seen the course. And there's that famous hole which overlooks the bay.
Yeah, there's a couple of holes, a couple right on the bay, 15 and 16. So we're popular for our views, or our spectacular views at Mornington. As a course, it's we've got like tier 1 golf courses throughout Australia and Victoria. Your Royal Melbournes and Kingston Heaths and Peninsula Kingswoods. They're called your sandbelt courses.
Yep.
Mornington will fall in under that, being a little bit out from Melbourne on the Mornington Peninsula there, not being a sandbelt course, but it's we get a lot of good reviews. Anyone who plays is never disappointed. It's got a great membership base for a head pro who needs to run a business. I need a good membership base, and it's got a very good membership base. So
good.
No, it's not the tier 1, but it's a great level of course, and I do enjoy it there.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I can certainly see why they've kept you around there for so long. I mean, the relationship that you and I have had over the last few years is very, very much a testament to your character. All right, so 2008 you won the Victorian Club Pro Championships, but you finished second 4 times. So 4 times the bridesmaid and then 1 time the win.
Yeah,
but you only need to win once, don't you?
Well, it's a 36-hole event run in the middle of winter, which is great.
Where?
Well, it's different courses throughout Victoria.
So it's all Victoria in the wintertime.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess as a club pro who played a lot of golf, and I have a reputation for playing a lot, it's a bit of a joke among some of the club pros. Heath will know what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So as a club pro who played a lot of golf, winning that event was massive for me, to be the best club pro in Victoria. It's a 36-hole event, played over 2 days, and I led it 4 years in a row after the first day, but it took me until the 4th time to actually won it. So I kept not playing bad, but just got overrun. But just you've got to put 2 days together, and and that was a big deal, because when you win that, you then qualify for the Australian Club Pro Championships, which I qualified for quite a number of times. You don't just have to win it top 10 or so in the Victorian Club Pro Championship, move on. So, but for me, that was a big deal, because I guess as a working club professional, I wanted to show that I was quite a good player as well. And when you reach that level of golf, you've spent a lot of time, like in your career, you spend a lot of time practicing and playing, and it was a nice reward for all that hard work.
Yeah, good. Nice. All right, so 2010, you're awarded Victorian Club Pro of the Year.
Yep.
And you had 11 career holes in one.
Yes.
Now, to put that into perspective, Tiger Woods has had 19, but has not had one of the past 20 years.
Yeah, where he's been the most dominant player in history.
Yeah.
So holes in one, I've been...
So you're going on record to say you're better than Tiger Woods?
No. Well, I've had more holes in one than he's had in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
There are golfers that play for 70 years and never have a hole in one, 60, 70 years and never have a hole in one. So when you tell someone, it's always a good question when they ask me, because when you play events and you play with amateurs, they'll say, how many holes in one you had? And I always say, I like that question, because I've had 11.
Yeah. So when I tell you to use that particular technique, this is why.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So a hole in one can be a fluke as such in golf, but to have 11, I know people have had more. I hear the world record's 51.
Wow.
Yeah, which is just astounding.
Yeah.
But, as I said...
Do you think that somebody who stands at the same tee all day, every day, just practicing that one, or do you think they're playing the whole course and they're definitely playing the whole course and coming to that hole. But they have had events where they'll sit someone on a hole and give them 1,000 shots to make a hole in one. Wow.
And they won't make one. The odds are massive.
Yeah. Wow. So that number really, 11 career holes in one.
Yeah, I like that achievement.
That's pretty good.
Pretty proud of that one. Yeah.
Do you think that's over, or do you think...
Oh, no, well, I had one last June, and it was the first one I'd had in 10 years.
Yeah, right.
So I sat on 10 holes in one for 10 years.
So it was 10 for 10?
Then I had one last June, and I was hoping to have one pretty quickly after that, but no, not yet. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, I've got friends out there that have played golf as long as I have and don't have one.
Okay.
Heath Jones, he knows who he is.
I think that would have made a good three-way conversation, actually.
Absolutely.
I think next time we might have to do that. Okay. All right, so some of your coaching highlights. Now, you coached a young man called Matthew Griffin. Tell me about him.
Okay, so Matt came to me as a 16-year-old junior golfer, fairly good golfer, nothing elite. And I coached him to a level where he made the state side and then the Australian side. So I coached him from 16 to about 21, and yeah, he was a fantastic golfer and trusted me, with his golf. He then got into the Victorian Institute of Sport, and their golf coach took over his coaching. So I had a meeting with them, and he wanted to stay with me, but I knew that I had to hand him over, and because they could take him to that next level, with their experience of other elite players, and that's what they do. So he went with them. He came back to me a few times, but eventually he stuck with them. He went on to win tournaments overseas. Recently won the New Zealand Open. Recently won the Australian Order Merit, and has carved out. Matt's about 34 now. He's carved out a great career in golf. Earning lots of money.
Oh, that's good. Have you got a 10% contract with him?
No. In fact, over the years, I taught him for no charge.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's been good to me though. Anytime he gets interviewed, I get a mention. Any podcast he's interviewed at. So he's been very good to me in that respect. We're good mates, and as a coach, it's great to see someone excel on the world stage, and
absolutely,
and still credit you for the good work that was done, the fundamentals that were set early. So
I guess really that sort of comes down to a solid fundamentals, and that's been the highlight that we've been speaking about. All coaches that we've had on these episodes so far is all about the importance of those fundamentals. All right, so you've coached over a dozen juniors over the years that went on to turn pro, so over that time, Matthew's obviously been your most successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So a lot of the others have most of them probably reached my level, where they're out there coaching as well. Creating coaches. I hear that a lot in here, and so it's funny because you get a kid at 10 years of age, and I say this to my coaches, you don't know what the next 10-year-old's going to turn into. And I've had kids come to me at 10 years of age, I coach them throughout as a junior, and then later on they move on to turn pro, and you can really, I guess, take pride in the fact that you actually led them on the right path initially. And so over the years there's been a good dozen or so who I've coached and mentored, and they've excelled with their golf, and Matt's been the best. I've got another young fella who's just won one of the biggest tournaments in Australia recently before we all got locked down. There's a lot out there now that have jobs in the golf industry, are actively coaching, started with me or had some sort of connection with me at some stage as a golfer, junior golfer.
What would you say would be the most rewarding part? There's one young man or the others that have carved a career out of it?
Probably. I think you got to think of the others, the 12 or so that have looked up to you and followed in your footsteps in a way. I suppose. Matt sort of excelled past where I got to, and although I never looked at getting to where he is, I always wanted to coach. Playing wasn't really it was on my radar, but not more of a serious hobby, not at his level.
Well, I can see that being a young man's sport as well, and I can see that being something that, as I've experienced myself on the professional fighting stage, it's a very, very selfish endeavour in a sense where you've got to leave your family behind. I was very, very lucky to basically have one child and a very, very supportive wife, and of course a club behind me. But for yourself, a very, very different story. I think you just absolutely love having kids. Is that right?
Well, I think Julie does. Yeah. No. The 4 boys. It's. I'm pretty happy with 4 boys too. Even though you've got a daughter, I'm pretty happy with the 4 boys. So, but Yeah, we've got a big family. We didn't know when to stop. I think. Well, I always say to Sam, he needs to thank Nathan for being a boy. Because if he had been a girl, we may have stopped right there. So, but yeah, the 4 boys. It's they're great boys, as you know.
They are.
And it's a big family, and look, I have been pretty selfish with my golf, even though I've had a big family, but it's only because Julie's allowed that.
Allowed that. Yeah. It's kind of funny too, because you've got to give to yourself before you can give to anybody else. Yep. And when you've got a big family like yourself, obviously 4 boys takes a lot of care, and certainly your wife Julie's done an amazing job with all the other issues that she's had, which we'll discuss a little bit about soon, but you do need to have that little bit, as a professional in what it is that you're doing. It's not so much selfishness, but more so you've got to give to yourself before you can give to anybody else. And if you don't give yourself that room to become your full potential, then really you can't expect your kids to do the same thing. Yeah. And you've got 4 boys now that I see becoming not only great golfers, but great martial artists, and certainly amazing young human beings. Starting from the top, we've got Ryan, of course, who's excelling at school at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Ryan, Ryan sets standards the others can't keep up with. He's being selfish in that. So, he's very good. And I had a good chat to Ryan yesterday about what he wants to do next year. And, a 17-year-old who's got his head screwed on as good as anyone. Yeah. He knows he's got it all planned out already, what he wants to do, and knows exactly where he wants to go, and which is great. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know I wanted to become a golf pro till I was 28. It took me 10 years of working. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
No, so the boys they're doing well with everything.
And you got Nathan, of course, who just recently travelled with our international team for fought in the Okinawa Open, and he won.
Yep.
Certainly a magnificent effort. Watching his confidence grow in the last few years has just been absolutely amazing. Yeah,
his last 6 months of last year, even the last 4 or 5 months was night and day from where he started. I was Nate's biggest fan forever, and said he's the athlete of the family, he's the skillful kid of the family, but he just needed a bit of direction and a bit of a goal, and that's what, the Rookies Cup in Okinawa gave him that, and we just, we both saw him at Griffith just go like that, and I didn't know what happened because I hadn't seen that from him. And then, the month leading up to Okinawa, that training that he went through, and we saw some big steps from him and some determination from him. So.
It's amazing when you surround yourself with the right crew. Well, I suppose that's what makes a difference. But it's self-belief in yourself, as you well know in your own job. You can believe in yourself all day long, but it's not until somebody else who you admire whispers in your ear that they believe in you too that starts to make the difference.
Absolutely.
I remember having a conversation with Nath just before he fought, and I said to him that you're going to win this easy, Bear, because I believe in you. You are an animal. And he kind of went, really? I said, yes, mate, you are. And then in he went, and of course, he absolutely destroyed his opponent on that day. And then he took that same attitude with him to Okinawa. Unfortunately, because of medical stuff, as you know, I couldn't be there, but you were there. Yeah. Tell me about the emotion on that day, the lead up to it.
Yeah, so obviously there'd been a massive lead up through training. Then it was Nate's first trip. It was my first trip without my golf clubs. Thanks for that. I'd never done an overseas trip without clubs. But, it was the boys, the team of 5 there, they all gelled so well. They're all, they all trained with Soshi. It was such a good experience for them. And that day, we watched the younger kids compete earlier. So Nathan had about... it was about 6 hours before he actually fought. Yeah. But he was there on the side supporting, part of the team. He's like captain of the team nearly. So it was a good environment there for him. And then he stepped up to fight the Japanese kid who had just beaten one of our teammates. Yep. And that first 20 seconds of Nathan's fight is unbelievable. I've watched that 100 times because he just wanted to knock this kid out. Yeah. And he just tore through him. He just ran straight through him and ended the fight really early. And so he did well considering. I thought he had 6 hours before he fought. And, then to come out and ready as he was, and Jordan was part of that, of, getting him ready as his coach there on the day. He did really well. And I said to him the other day, I said that 20 seconds is the best 20 seconds of your life so far, that first 20 seconds he fought. And that comes with what led up to that as well. Really proud of his training efforts. and how he improved and stepped up and wanted to do it, and shows that now that he wants to do it again, which is great.
I remember, of course, I was there for his fight camp leading up to it. Putting him into that environment where he was really pretty much thrown to the wolves, training with our A team. I remember his first week was pretty tough, and he was coming home pretty sore, but he never backed down.
No, there was a stage there where after one of the adult classes, knowing that Nath was going to go to Japan in the next couple of weeks, they put him up against the 4 big guns we have. And as a parent, and I train and watch the boys fight all the time and train with them, but as a parent, I watched Nath get pummeled and thought, when he fought Jack at the end, he's already fought Jordan and Matt and Robbie, and then suddenly he had Jack, and I just thought, wow. But he just stood there, he took it and defended and did as best he could in that situation, and come out of it and stood tall. Come out of it and stood tall. But as a parent, I was just like, wow, that's hard. That was hard. A bit hard to watch initially, but then when I spoke to him after, and he was all fine with it.
Yep.
He was all fine with it, and we hadn't seen that in Nathan, because we'd always seen Nathan. He'd back down, or not back down. He'd be always taking a step backwards when he was fighting someone that he knew he couldn't dominate, or he knew he was a step down from.
What's kind of funny is when you watched him evolve over the years, he would push forward against the guys that he mentally knew that he could beat, but he made a decision against fighters that he didn't think that he had a chance with.
Yeah.
But up until the lead up in this, and in these last few weeks, that changed, and he thought, I'm just going to have that same attitude as I do with anybody else. And I remember having that conversation with him, saying that don't look at the person that you're fighting, don't look at the person, don't look at the belt, don't look at the experience, just fight your own fight.
Yep.
And that message finally started to get through to him. And then, of course, the results after that spoke for themselves. He fought extremely well on the day. He didn't care who was in front of him.
No.
Even in the finals, when he was fighting one of our own guys, who he had struggled with in class, a very talented young man, he just went straight through him.
Yeah. And that was an interesting one to watch, because obviously teammate against teammate. Nathan before that actually didn't want to fight him. He just felt, I don't want to fight this guy. He had the height advantage and the weight advantage, and Gabby's obviously a very skillful fighter and very new to it, but better than a white belt shows. I remember I said to Nathan, you're allowed to win this fight. When he said he didn't want to fight, I said, actually, you're allowed to win it. He's going to try and beat you. You're allowed to win this. I said, just don't kick him in the head. Okay, if you do me a favour, just don't kick him in the head, because that's in the finals. They took the head guards off and all that. And I said,
that was that mutual respect.
Exactly
from
right.
Amongst their
exactly
team.
Right. And I think again, he got through that one pretty quickly as well, and that was good. I was happy that was over pretty quick. It was his to win, and as I said, you're allowed to win it, because I don't think he had that attitude. 30 minutes leading up to that, he was a bit worried that I don't want to hurt him or blah blah blah. And I said, well, no, he's gonna fight you. You need to fight him. So
I think that's pretty sound advice, and I haven't heard that up until this point that you had said to him that you are allowed to win. You've sort of empowered him to say that you're allowed to take what's yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And he then switched on, and he showed a bit more skill in that one. I think the first one he just tried to knock the kid's head off and over and won it pretty quickly. But that one he showed a bit more skill, and it lasted under a minute, and that was it. So and that was that for the boys. We come away from that with 2 gold, 2 silver out of 5, and the one who didn't win was amazing anyway.
Yes.
So it was a great.
And even just his performance alone, if that was the best that we had, then that to us was a win.
Yep, absolutely, and something to be proud of. And
absolutely.
So it's a good experience for him and the team. Good experience as a parent to travel. I'd never been to Japan, and I'd love to do it again with the other boys if they.
I'm pretty sure that might be the case.
I certainly see Sam following in Nathan's footsteps. He loves that. He loves the fighting side of it. Ryan is as good as Ryan is. I think Ryan's the best out of them all, but he doesn't have that mentality where he actually wants to compete in it.
The discipline that he shows in training is so vastly different to Ryan, but his direction is completely different.
Yep.
But the discipline is much, much higher.
Yep.
And I think that shows in his schoolwork as well, and his extracurricular activities, his commitment to his job.
Yeah.
And certainly I'm really, really excited to see where his life ends up. I don't think he's going to be a martial arts teacher one day, but he's going to be a leader of some sort.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, he's a high achiever, and it's, anything, whether it's getting a job the first day you're allowed to get one, getting his learners the first day you're allowed to get one. He really sets his goals high and achieves them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, he's as a parent, couldn't be proud of him, right?
How many of your phones or computers has he blown up in his pursuit to?
Oh, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good. He's just he builds his own computers these days. So he's been pretty good. He's I can't think of anything he's blown up or damaged or that, but he's been through a few. Yeah, in his time. So he started very early with the technology side of things, and has excelled like. He's done with this. Yeah.
Now, you started karate, of course, here in January 2015. Tell me about the day that you decided. It was obviously in January. I think it was just before Open Week, or
yeah. So, if we take it a little further back, we'd. And I'm sure we'll touch on this, the 12-hour fight for MS was, I guess the most inspiring thing I'd ever seen. And I'm not the only one that watched that and thought, wow, this is something special. And I remember, so that was in August. I remember in December, Fleur was around our house with Ruby, I don't know for what reason, and I said to Fleur, I reckon I'm going to start karate first week. And as soon as I said that, I knew I couldn't back down. Once I said it to her, I knew I couldn't say I couldn't.
All four boys were in at that stage.
Yeah, yep, all four were in.
So I think Adam was in Kinder Ninjas at that time.
Yeah, I think 2015. He would have been 6 years old. Yeah,
okay,
maybe just out of it. Maybe just out of it.
Yeah,
because I the boys started in 2012, and I'd watched. I watched more karate classes than most parents, I reckon, in the 3 years before I started, so I knew what I was getting into. But, so 2015, I remember you and Fleur there, and I said, I'm going to start. You gave me the gi, and I went to the change room and then come back out to you and said, how do I tie this? You tied it up for me, tied it up. And then I made that, and it's such a significant step, that first step into the dojo. So, and I try to tell people it's so... I'm a professional in my sport, but I'm a beginner in karate. And at 44 years of age, I decided to step in and, Nath laughed at me for a start and Ryan giggled at me. And that didn't last long, though.
The thing is, as every child does, I see it as an opportunity to give the old man a bit of a smack around, but that doesn't last very long.
No, I had that height and the weight advantage early there, but I'm losing that now. I'm losing the height advantage for sure. But... so January 2015, before the Open Week, and that, I think it was the first week we came back, and it was great. I was sore. I still came. I remember I was sore, and I came back the Wednesday, and I was sorer. I couldn't play golf for a couple of weeks, and it's that adjustment I needed to make of getting into training, using different muscles, and then being able to. It was within a month I was able to train Wednesday and play golf Thursday without a hitch. So that was fine. But that was but that first step, you've seen it a million times. But that first step in, and it's quite significant when you make that first step in.
It is.
Bow in, and as I said, I knew what to expect because I'd seen it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what I was capable of.
Exactly right. It was probably a little bit more daunting for yourself because you'd sort of seen your sons. But none of them had been in the adults class at this stage.
No, Ryan had.
Ryan
and that was part of my decision as well. So Ryan got I think you put him in the adults class pretty early, maybe at the age of about 13.
Yeah.
And I remember his first class. He and I watched him go through it because I'd never watched the adults class. I only watched the kids classes for 2 or 3 years. And then we hopped in the car afterwards, and I said to him, "Are you okay?" Because it was tough. It was tough, and I think he nearly broke down.
Yeah.
In the class, he nearly cried. It was that tough. But you know what? He came back the next day.
He did.
Not a problem at all. So I'd seen the adults classes, and I knew they were tough. And at 44, with not much fitness behind me, I'd always been fit-ish, but not like that. Gave it my all for a long time. So
technically, you advance very, very quickly, and I put that down to your years of discipline golf, and your enjoyment, I suppose, of the nuances.
Yes. Yeah. That was a big part of it.
That was a huge part.
Yeah.
To me, I saw that as a massive compliment because somebody from your profession who values technique so deeply, to want to train with us and to want to learn more, and to walk out of class and the many times that you had and said, wow, that was really good, I really enjoyed that, I love the way that this flows from here to here.
Yeah.
I saw that as a massive compliment.
Yeah, as a, I guess as a golf coach, we look at technique in everything for what we do, and I saw that pretty early when I was watching you teach and the other coaches teach, and was fascinated by technique. And it goes a little deeper with sequence of motion that we teach and power sources that we use, and I could see how it actually was quite similar, and it is in other sports as well. But the technique side of karate and the kata side of things, the movement, really fascinated me and made me want to do it. So that was and I saw that early as I was watching.
How do you think that your training in martial arts has influenced your golf coaching?
I see. As a golf coach, one thing we do a lot of is we repeat a lot of repetition or drills of certain moves, and it's no different to what we do here. So I see, what we've done in the repetition of one kick or one punch that we repeat, and I can see that then flows onto golf when we're doing certain shots or trying to get a movement in a certain swing or a type of shot that we keep repeating it. So it's that just I can just see how they work close together, and what you were doing here is similar to what I was doing with my pupils, and from a coaching perspective, I liked what I saw.
Yeah, good, awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your wonderful wife.
Yes.
Julie, some of my earliest memories of Julie were just being in the office, and she was just that busy mum, in and out with the kids. Hello, how you going? No real big conversation or anything else like that. It was more so you could see she was obviously very, very busy, and she had the four kids to organise, and she would come in, bang, 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 hello, goodbye, and everything else. Had an instant rapport with her, of course. And then one day I remember seeing her and saying, are you okay? And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, you're limping. And then, of course, she told me, I've got MS. And I went, because when she first started here, her symptoms were rather slight.
Yeah.
You probably obviously knew a lot more about the symptoms than I did, but at the time that I'd met her, there were nothing physical that she showed. And then all of a sudden there was a limp, and then all of a sudden there was a walking stick, and then of course everything started to sort of go downhill fairly quickly. But I remember when she came to me and asked me for the help, she didn't know what to expect or what to ask for, how to ask for it, except that she'd had words of some treatment. So perhaps you can tell me a bit about that.
I actually remember the day you asked Julia, "You're all right?" We'd spoken about it at home, because she was, with MS, yes, it's a slow progression for some, but fast for others. But she had a fairly slow progression, and it went from being able to walk to a slight limp. And I think she'd brushed off to most people as, I've just got a sore ankle.
I remember the first time I asked her, I think I remember her saying that she just had a sore ankle.
It was probably just easier to explain it that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you become a lot closer, she was able to open up about that. And, year after year, we see a bit of a downward progression of what's going on with her issues. And then we saw, watching 60 Minutes, a girl named Christy Cruz had gone to Russia to get a stem cell transplant. She knew a fair bit about, because she had MS and worked as a nurse, she had a fair idea of what was available in Australia, but found she couldn't get what she needed in Australia, and had researched that you could get this treatment in Russia, and this stem cell transplant would then halt any further progression of their MS. So we saw that 60 Minutes episode one night. Julie showed me, she recorded it, showed me. The next day she was basically on the phone to hospitals in Russia. She was that determined, and she said that this is what I need. And I was like, fine, yep, let's have a look at it. And then we worked out how much it cost. I was like, oh no.
I remember there was a figure that involved a 7 and quite a few zeros.
Yeah, and probably was more by the end.
Oh yes,
more by
absolutely.
The end. And she never really thought of the money side of it. I started to think about the money side, and I was like, I got to sell a car or a house, or I don't know what's going to happen, And but obviously, at the stage, after conversation with you, she had a chat to you about, and it was obviously difficult to ask for help, as it is, about doing a fundraiser of some sort. And that's when I think you come up with the idea of the 12 fighting for 12 hours, and then we called it the 12-hour fight for MS.
It's kind of funny, because I remember as soon as she walked out, I said I turned around to Fleur, and Fleur said, what on earth can we do? That's so much money. There's no way that we're going to get that sort of money. And I kind of thought, well, even if it's just a little bit, that's worth it.
Yep.
And the figure that we had in mind to be able to contribute was about the $5,000 mark. That was what we were kind of thinking that we...
And that's what I thought at the time as well. And that's, anything was helpful. And we'd gone to, not gone to so much, but our footy club that we were with, the junior footy club, had said they'll do something. The golf club where I was at, said they would do something, even though I said, look, no, it's fine. Look, we'll deal with it. It's fine. But they just said, well, no, it's not fine, and we're going to help you out. So when we got this going, and we started. Well, I didn't do anything. Julie didn't do anything. It was yourself and Fleur and the other team, and suddenly it just kept moving up and up and up, and it was it just became this massive event by the end, and to see a club come together and a community come together was just amazing. And I got to see that with here. I got to see that with the golf club I was with, and not something I'd ever seen before, or been involved in before. So that was amazing. And that day, it comes up on my Facebook memories every year, and every year I watch that last fight, because that's what comes up. It's a day to be proud of, really, and your efforts were unbelievable. The club's efforts as well, what Fleur did in the background as well, but I know you guys would do it again for anyone else. It's just the way it works.
I don't know about that now, but but you're probably right. I'd probably get a team of fighters. Yeah. If I was smart about it, I would have said, okay, this person's going to fight for an hour, then that person's going to fight for an hour, rather than me doing the whole lot. But I guess it was a real test too, because it served a few purposes. To be honest with you, it served a purpose that one person can make a difference for one other person. I was getting a lot of pressure too from a lot of other groups that were saying, well, you shouldn't be giving money to one person. It should be going to the MS Society so as it helps the broader community. And I got that. I really did. But to me, it was... The whole point was that one person could make a difference to help one other person and to make a difference in that person's life. And for me, that's what it was all about. It was that very, very personal thing. And then when everybody got behind me, I knew I was doing the right thing. It's kind of funny because training for everybody in the club stepped up. I mean, I was training 5-6 hours a day in preparation for it, and that was for many months. I think we'd given ourselves it was a 4 or 5 month time frame.
Maybe a bit less actually. Maybe March through to August. Yeah. We saw the 60 Minutes episode in March. So
okay. And it's kind of funny. Things moved very, very quickly. The sponsorships grew and grew and grew, and the kids and the adults that came into fight. It was kind of funny because it was the kids that had come in would obviously they were the ones that were bringing the money. The kids were the ones that were going around to the neighbours saying, I'm going to fight my sensei and I'm going to get this money. I need to raise money. And each kid was bringing in $100 or $200 and $300. Some kids brought in even more. I remember young Cameron brought in a staggering amount. I can't remember exactly the amount.
Our neighbour at the time trained with us here, and he brought in
that's what it was, Connor.
He brought in about $1,000.
So it was just an awesome effort. All the adults that fought in it was an opportunity for them to to fight.
Yep.
And to me, it was good too because, yeah, sure, I think we calculated it was around 260 rounds that day.
Yeah.
Lani did all the stats, and I think ended up fighting 120 adult rounds. And they were all tough rounds. They were all good rounds.
I remember for me, it was the first time I'd seen you sort of go full tilt on someone.
Yeah.
You know, I'd seen because I wasn't training at that stage, and I'd certainly seen Ryan sparring in the adults classes and that sort of thing. And then I actually got the shock of my life when you went full tilt. I think it was on like Sensei Tony.
Yes.
And I just this is pretty serious. Yeah, I'd never seen anyone hit so hard, and he hit you back, and then you hit him back, and it was. But I imagine too, fighting the kids as well, who are half your size, and you're down like this. That's a tough thing to do as well.
Well, look, it was, and tailoring each round to each per person, and then of course we had all the newbies that just wanted to step into the ring just for the sake of support and to get an experience. Some of them wanted just a fun experience. Some of them wanted a tough experience, and there was a couple of people that came in from other clubs, especially I think there was a couple of kickboxing clubs.
Yes, yeah.
And they were coming in trying to prove a point for some reason.
Yep.
So
I remember that. Yes.
But we managed to dispatch them pretty quickly, which I was sort of rather proud of, and that was after 4 hours of fight, 5 hours of fighting. So I think we got rid of the tryhards at that stage. And I think I had one guy come in trying to punch me in the face as hard as he could. And I remember I'd punched him once in his stomach or something. He dropped. And I remember him.
Kickboxer, wasn't he?
Yeah. I remember saying to him, "Stand up, your son's watching. Don't let your son see that you're weak." So he did. He got up and he took a few breaths, and afterwards he thanked me, which was really, really bizarre. But I suppose I remained humble right throughout the whole thing, which was the whole point of it, because I wasn't there for me. I wasn't there to prove that I was any tougher than anyone else.
No.
All I wanted to prove that day was that if Julie could fight constantly, then I could do it for 12 hours. To me, that was easy.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think for all of us to be there and to be part of it and to watch and to be there on the sidelines and to be all the supporting crew constantly throughout that 12 hours, they were all fighting too.
Yep.
And I remember Fleur saying that she'd never been more exhausted than she was that day. And she'd fought, I think, two rounds with me.
Which is unusual, isn't it?
Which is unusual. But then at the end of it all, the most rewarding part was seeing Julie at the end. I remember Laura looking over at the final round, seeing her bawling her eyes out.
Yeah. There's a good photo where you've got her hand in the air and she's in tears, you're exhausted, and there's little Nath looking up and he's so proud. There's a great photo of that. But that day was, as I said, it comes up every year in the Facebook memories. And I always share it with you or share it with everyone. It was massive, and we've done a lot of good things as a club from that day as well. That's gone on from that. So
because my deal to Julie was that I'll do this, but one day when it's your turn, you've got to do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I don't think she stopped.
No.
We had the fundraiser for Zach afterwards, a young student of ours who had leukemia, and Julie was the one who organised the fundraising day for him, and we had a big thing at the Cranbourne Public Hall. That day was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was purely down to Julie organised all of it.
Yeah. And she worked full time on that.
That was a full-time job.
And I remember saying it was, that was her giving back.
Yeah.
Or passing it down. So she was, fantastic with that. And secretly she likes that stuff.
Of course she does.
She likes doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think she'd be good in a fundraising sort of situation. She did enjoy that. And there's, it's obviously, there's a reward in it for you, but no bigger reward than what you get when you see the person you've done it for, the benefit that it gives them.
So after the treatment, she's come home from Russia, obviously in a very weak and state at that point. Had gone through. So explain the process of it. So there was it was basically a stem cell transplant
Yeah, so I think the process is, and they do stem cell transplants in Australia, but they do it for leukemia patients.
Right.
So the testing in Australia has been in trial stages. Well, it was 6 years ago that Julie was trying to get it here in Australia, and it's still not happening. So
I remember she was trying for the trials and got knocked back. Yeah.
If she hadn't have bothered with what was going on in Australia or trying to get into the trials in Australia, she would have got to Russia a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But the timing was fine. That was fine. And so the treatment involves killing off your immune system. So you go through chemo, the treatment of chemo. They remove your stem cells, reharvest that. Might have this in the wrong order here. You might remove them before the chemo. Not sure.
I think Julie's at home going, no, you're saying it all wrong.
So then they reharvest the stem cells, put them back in. It then the idea is that reboots your immune system. Yeah. So you start from when you were born, okay, your immune system, and then it takes 2 years to build up to adult level. So it was a 5 week. She was over there for 5 weeks, which to that in itself, the hardest thing I ever did was send her off on that plane. So to leave me and 4 boys for 5 weeks just shows her determination. Yep. To try, not try anything, but try what she believed was going to work, and it did. Everything that's happened in the last 6 years, every MRI she's had in the last 6 years shows that there's been no further activity in her MS, no new lesions. Unfortunately, though, she's got other issues, and MS is always her 14 years before that of having MS is always an underlying factor in her other injuries, which you know that. And for her, she's got a couple of things that she needs done with her hip, but there's no elective surgery at the moment. So it's always a bit of a battle, but I don't know anyone that could have coped better with what's gone on than she has. I certainly don't think I could have. I think I would have given up a long time ago. Yeah. But there's been no give up at all, not one time. So just that test of her character is unbelievable.
Yeah. I think I've drawn a lot of strength from Julie over the years with the endeavours that I then took on after that, because by doing that for her gave me self-belief in what I could do physically. So then, of course, decided to fight on the world stage. And that was, I directly attribute that to Julie.
And I can understand that. That's she's as I said, I would have given up a long time ago. It's just you would have given it the why me, gone through those emotions, but she's not shown, not in front of me, and I'm as close to her as anyone, not shown that at all.
It's funny, I've always said that a man or a woman only has as much character that they can master in a crisis. Yep. And I think Julie's certainly seen her fair share of crises, or crises as the word is probably pronounced, yet she still soldiers on.
Yes, absolutely.
And for me, that's a massive amount of inspiration.
Yeah, and the way she copes with it, has made it, I don't know if the word's easier, but helped me cope. And let me live my life as well, and do what I do in my profession as well. I can, not that I've done it lately, but I can still leave her for a week and go overseas and do what I do professionally, and then know that she's coped all right. And now, if the boy's being older, it helps.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of funny too, because as soon as she gave up the role of being the mother of the household, then, of course, you were showing me the photos. There was Ryan's cooking dinner and Nathan's doing the vacuuming and
washing up, and
you were sitting on the couch watching golf, and everything was good.
Although I think Nathan and Ryan have stepped back a little. Julie's probably at home now going, well, I'm doing that now. Look, now she hasn't driven for over a year. And Ryan's taken over that. He's got his learners now, and he's about to get his license soon. So he's been driving her around, which is helpful. And I'm sure when he gets his license, he'll be driving a lot of the boys around rather than me.
Doubt.
So we should be good. But it's they stepped up. The two oldest ones had to grow up pretty quickly, and Ryan especially. And Ryan, you saw that in Ryan. Nath, not as much, but he's reluctantly he'll do everything we need him to do. So
it's funny with his growth too, because everybody grows at their own rate.
Yep.
And I suppose Nathan wanted to hang on to that no responsibility period of time of his life where all he wanted to do was just be a kid and not have any responsibilities. Let his older brother be the older brother, and let the little baby brother be the baby brother, and him in the middle. It kind of felt like, well, just let me do my own thing for a while. But then I think there came a turning point where he realised, I've got to step up in some way.
And that's just the slow, the natural maturity as well. But and he's doing what he needs to do. It's but Ryan certainly, from the age of 14 onwards, he was.
You'd classify him as a young man.
He could have moved out of house at 16 and coped. He was. Did a lot, and still does. And add training and year 12 onto that. He's got a lot on his plate. So, but he's a very level head, as you know, and he doesn't complain. Not too often, anyway.
It's funny. At the end of every class, he gives me the same handshake, and it is exactly the same as the way that he performs in class. He never shows weakness. I remember a few times he has been hurt, because you can't train in our adults class without copping a bit. But a testament to his character is he just keeps soldiering through. He knows his strengths, he understands his weaknesses, and he works on those. And it's funny, while watching his evolution, I mean, sure, year 12's taken a massive precedence for him. There's, in the last block of his life. But previous to that, his growth went from here to here in such a short amount of time. But his attitude had been the same since the day he started.
So his growth caught up, is that what
his growth caught up to his attitude,
and look, I know, I get to spar the boys, which is a fantastic part of what we do here, and he's become a real handful.
Yes.
He knows he's got a long reach. He knows his strengths. He knows how I fight, and he sort of rubs his hands together when he knows he's fighting me. And I've got to say, mate, just don't kick me in the head. We're just sparring here, but he'll try and take my head off half the time. But he's you're right. He showed a lot of skill early, and then once he got the strength and the height, and then put the confidence in with that, he was. I would have loved to see him want to fight in a competitive environment, but you can't force that. That's the last thing you can do to a kid, force him to fight.
It's kind of funny though, because the fighting or the fighters here are just the byproduct of the creation of teachers and leaders. The fighters are just the byproduct.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really, he's on track and on target, the same as almost everybody else in that adult class, and it's only really the top 5% in the adults class, really, and overall in the club, really the top 1% that ascend to those A-grade levels. But we have a very, very high teacher output ratio, I suppose, for lack of a better term, where we've managed to create some amazing coaches. And I think the testament to the club is that the fact that we're able to do that more so than produce fighters.
And that takes so much time too. It's you don't just turn up and in a year you're a coach. It's from white belt, starting there all the way up, and just continuing to learn and then get the confidence to be able to stand out in front and coach, in some sort of aspect. So, I could see him doing that. I know you said maybe not, but I could see him doing that later on as he gets after this year and gets a bit more settled and then gets back into it. I think he'd, with kids and things like that to start off with, I can see that in him for sure. Okay,
no worries. Where do you see yourself
with my karate?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, This year's been a non-event for me karate-wise. I started karate because I knew when I turned 50, which is later on this year, I qualified to play in the senior tour. Now, in golf, to be able to then move from competing against all the young guns and all the other full-time golfers to moving into the senior tour where I become the young gun was always my goal. Just to play professionally around Australia as I have been with my other golf while I'm still working. So the idea of karate was as well as training with the boys and all that, was for me. It was my fitness and being able to get to 50 in better shape than what I was probably heading before I took up karate.
Yep.
So the fitness side of things was the big motivator. As you get into it, you start to set goals of belts. It's exciting to get to a grading and get to the next belt and change colours. So that was a big part of it for the first 3 years. I think I went from white to brown in 3 years, or white to second Q in 3 years. And obviously that next step is a real big one. And I remember when I got that belt, there was about 4 of us that got it at the same time. And you said, a lot of people quit at this stage, second Q. A lot of people quit, and I was like, no, that won't be me. That won't be me. I'm looking for the next one. But since I've got that, my training's been a bit disrupted from that, and my golf focus has come back into it, and especially in the last 6 months. And what I found was, if I took 3 weeks off training, which I hadn't done in the first few years, I couldn't go to training and then try and play golf the next day. I was too sore to do it. So I'd have golf events on, so I go, I won't train then because I've got golf this week. Then I've got golf Monday, so I can't train Monday. And it just became, I just saw that I wasn't putting training ahead of golf like I had before. Or I wasn't balancing it up as well as I had before. So what I've got to do now is find that balance again. So, one thing about this not being able to train lately with the situation is you're just keen to get back into it. And
it's tough too at this pointy end where things are tougher. It's not just a case of coming in and getting a little bit fitter. You've got to face some of the toughest guys in the country. And that's a daunting experience, and then have to go to work the next day and have a perfect swing.
Absolutely.
So I can imagine just how daunting that'd be. I guess I'm pretty fortunate that if I suppose if all you were doing, if you were in my shoes and I was the martial artist coming down to learn golf, you'd be saying, look, you've got to lay off your martial arts a bit so as you can concentrate on getting that swing right.
And as you get older too, the recovery's tougher.
Oh, yes.
And getting the OMIs, as you call them, the old man injuries. So, and that's been another part of it, with a little bit of hip and a little bit of foot injuries. So, I think sometimes you feel like I have to be 100% to train, but it's not the case.
It's not the case at all.
And I'll say to the boys a lot, she aren't trained with a broken ankle. No, she aren't fought with a broken ankle when they go, oh, my shoulder's sore or something like that. So, just the recovery part I've noticed lately as you're getting older, and as you, I guess, sparse out your training sessions, is a little tougher, and it's trying to balance that in with golf. But I'd love to do the next. Go to the next stage, first Q, and that's because I know what's involved is the challenge, and I'm pretty confident I could do it. But although it was 3 years ago that I last graded, I don't feel like I'm much closer because I haven't been able to put anything into it. So it's
well. Let's see what the rest of this year brings. I know it's going to be an exciting one for everyone. Once we get out of this lockdown, of course, but. Let's just see what it brings. I'm really, really, really excited, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's one of those years that's brought a new dimension to the way that we do things, and a year that's brought a lot of challenges. And it's going to see the very, very best in the club rise and stay, and it's going to see, again, that cull that we kind of need to have of those that perhaps aren't as committed to this thing as we are. And I know that your family is just as committed to this as we are too. So from my family to yours, I'm really excited to see where things go. So
thank you.
Thanks so much for coming along today.
Enjoyed that.
And let's do this again for sure.
For sure.
I think next up we've got Johnny and Roger, our senpais, who were the first in the club to go through the full Shorin Kempo grading system, meaning for Shodan Ho was provisional black belt, 50 rounds of full contact karate, and that day was a very particularly brutal day.
I was there that day, yeah.
And then, of course, a year later, teach for a whole year, and then a year later go for the full first dan by started taking on 40 rounds, which again was a very, very brutal day. But,
and there's a couple of guys, an old guy like me, I look up to those guys. They're amazing. And, if they can do it, and they work hard. They work a lot harder than most. So, but it will be brilliant to see.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. And we've got classes on, as usual, tonight with Kinder Ninjas at 4:30. I think we've got kids karate, I think, tonight. Kids kickboxing at 5:30. And then adults karate at 6:30. So we look forward to seeing you then. Awesome.